Intel has a lot riding on the launch of its first Panther Lake laptop processors, which are showing up in their first laptops this week. These chips will be known as Core Ultra 3 series when you see them in new laptops throughout 2026. We've got one of the first systems to feature a Panther Lake chip in our hands now. If you follow Intel, you know they're facing a historic slump. Team Blue is launching its first platform built on 18A process technology and a new tile chip architecture. Intel has seen some real struggles within its consumer chip business. AMD has had strong Ryzen mobile offerings for a while now, and Intel has new competition from Qualcomm's Snapdragon X family. All eyes are on Intel to see if its new chip will deliver. With a surge of outside investment, and along with that, lots of scrutiny, this is Intel's most consequential CPU launch in many years. So what is Panther Lake? In a nutshell, Intel is aiming to merge the excellent efficiency of its previous gen Lunar Lake processors for laptops, those are the Core Ultra 200V series, with the raw compute power of its Arrow Lake H Core Ultra 200H CPUs for mainstream and power user laptops. There's a lot to unpack about Panther Lake, but the biggest thing is around its graphics. Not all Panther Lake chips are created equal. Intel's Core Ultra 3 Panther Lake chips will show up in basic mid-range laptops, and these CPUs feature a 4-core integrated GPU tile. But with this chip generation, Intel is also offering an elite tier that introduces a new Core Ultra X branding. These X chips, like the Core Ultra X7 and X9, pack a massive 12-core Xe3 graphics tile. That boosted graphics engine is what has got us most excited about Panther Lake. So today we are testing the crown jewel of this new line, the Core Ultra X9 388H. This is Intel's new flagship laptop chip, a 16-core beast featuring 4 Cougar Core Performance cores, or P cores, 8 Darkmont Efficient cores, or E cores, and 4 Low Power Efficient cores, or LPE cores. Because the Core Ultra X9 388H has an X in the name, it's equipped with a top-tier Intel Arc B390 integrated GPU. The B390 is a version of the on-chip graphics that has 12 graphics cores. It's based on the same underlying architecture found in Intel's newest desktop graphics cards called Battlemage. To keep data flowing to those 12 cores, this flagship supports extremely fast memory speeds, up to 9600 megatransfers per second via LPDDR5X memory, the highest in the entire Panther Lake family. As you can see, Intel's got a whole line of Panther Lake chips debuting alongside the 388H. Some are straight Core Ultra 3 with the lower core count graphics, and some are Core Ultra X3 chips that feature 12 core graphics tiles. Now, Intel is promising a 60% leap in multi-threaded performance over the Ultra 2 series. But what's even more intriguing is that Intel suggests the 380H flagship will, in some cases, deliver more than 70% better gaming performance than the integrated graphics in its previous generation flagship chip, the Arrow Lake Core Ultra 9285H. The AI performance is also boosted quite a bit. Intel is also incorporating what it calls its NPU5 architecture in a neural processing unit that's now capable of 50 trillion operations per second, or TOPS, which puts it in line with AMD's offerings. Intel also claims that the 380H can hit a massive 170 platform TOPS for AI workloads. Now, what are we testing the 380H in? Intel loaned us a 2026 model of the ASUS ZenBook Duo. We've seen the Duo before, but ASUS's updated version was introduced at CES 2026. The updated Duo is a dual-screen laptop with a new elegant design and a removable keyboard. You can place the keyboard over the bottom screen to use it like an ordinary laptop, or prop it up on a kickstand to use the keyboard wirelessly while viewing both displays at the same time. For the purposes of our tests here, I used the ZenBook Duo in the traditional clamshell laptop layout. In that orientation, the laptop is a single 14-inch 2880 by 1800 resolution screen. It also came equipped with 32 gigabytes of memory and a 1 terabyte SSD. And so, let's get down to the core question. Do the real-world benchmarks back up the hype? First, let's look at the productivity and content creation performance. Here, we're comparing the Intel Panther Lake Core Ultra X9 388H with the representative mix of Core Ultra 200 chips plus AMD Ryzen AI 300 chips. These are mostly Core Ultra and Ryzen 9 tier chips, plus one Core Ultra 7 processor, and mostly 32 gigabyte memory systems. Looking at these CPU performance numbers, starting with the PCMag 10 test, you can see it falls mostly in the middle of the pack. PCMag 10 measures general productivity, different software and apps you might use during your workflow during the course of a normal workday. It's not leading the charts here. That's kind of a trend across these tests. Cinebench, a more demanding rendering software that really pushes the processor, again, falling right in line with the rest of these high-end chips. The same can be said of Handbrake, which is converting a 4K video file to a 1080p video file and measuring how long that takes. Quicker than some on this list, not the fastest in the group. Again, the trend continues with Geekbench. It is at the higher end. This is more like the Cinebench test, pushing those cores, simulating a different sort of workflow, different apps, different software that you might use during the course of a workday. Finally, everyone knows Photoshop. Workstation maker Puget Systems, Puget Bench for Creators rates a PC's image editing prowess through a variety of automated operations in Photoshop, sort of simulating the types of tasks that you might do in Photoshop, and gives you a score at the end. As you can see, it is one of the faster systems here, so Media professionals and content creators might like what they see in this chip. While Panther Lake's graphics performance is grabbing the headlines, as you can see, it doesn't drop the ball on processing performance either. These are steady results right up there with the rest of these fast chips, displaying proficiency in productivity and processing heavy media tasks. Machines with Panther Lake chips, at least the top-end X9, can be relied on for workloads in content creation and office power user tasks. At the same time, you can see why it's the graphics that we're looking forward to seeing here. These processing results are solid, but for a new platform, there isn't much separation from the existing equivalent options. This wasn't the focus of the Intel Core Ultra 3, so it's understandable, but the processing chops are more like treading water than advancing the ball. Moving on to the synthetic graphics benchmarks, Panther Lake gets more of a chance to flex its muscles. Here, we're using the 3D Mark suite of tests to run a variety of graphics trials. Note that only the last system we're comparing to, the Lenovo Yoga Pro 9i, has a dedicated graphics chip, the GeForce RTX 5050. This entry-level GPU from NVIDIA's current generation will give you a good idea of how the Arc B390 integrated graphics stacks up against a basic discrete graphics chip. We'll talk about real-world gaming tests in a moment. You'll also see how the Arc B390 looks versus existing integrated graphics options. As you can see, across the board, the Panther Lake chip excels compared to past integrated options from both Intel and AMD. It even outperformed the RTX 5050 in the Lenovo Yoga machine, though I wouldn't get too carried away there. That has more to do with the weaker implementation of that RTX 5050 in that particular Yoga machine. In other tests using RTX 5050 gaming laptops, the RTX 5050 still easily outmuscles the Arc B390 in 3D Mark. Before drawing any concrete conclusions, let's get into the actual gaming tests to paint a fuller picture. The results on these gaming benchmarks are the real bread and butter of our Panther Lake testing. The group of laptops we're comparing against here are all actual gaming systems with high-speed processors and discrete graphics chips from NVIDIA. Intel itself drew a comparison between the Arc B390 and the NVIDIA RTX 4050, NVIDIA's last generation entry-level GPU, so it's included here alongside various GeForce RTX 50 series GPUs. Superior GPUs, particularly the RTX 5060 and 5070, should outperform the Intel Panther Lake graphics chip handily, but you'll see how close it could come. And so, I put the laptop through our usual suite of gaming benchmarks. The three main games we use are F1 2024, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, and Cyberpunk 2077. We test at two resolutions, the Full HD equivalent 1200p in this case since it's a 16:10 screen, and the native resolution of a given laptop if it's higher, that's 800p for the ZenBook Duo. I'm including F1 2024 here as a test of how much upscaling technology can boost frame rates, usually through NVIDIA's DLSS or AMD's FSR. Intel's own upscaler is called XeSS. XeSS works like those other competing technologies, rendering the game at a lower resolution to boost frame rates and upscaling the picture quality with machine learning to boost the visual quality of the end product. This is not new. XeSS 3.0 is the most recent version of the technology, and it's available in about 50 games, and XeSS 2.0 is available in many more. Now, related to the upscaling is frame generation technology, which also boosts the frame rate by inserting artificially generated frames between the rendered frames, just how the same feature works with NVIDIA's DLSS. We ran F1 2024 at two resolutions at the maximum ultra settings, recording the average frame rate. Then, we ran the second set of tests at the same settings, but with the relevant upscaling technology, XeSS for Panther Lake or DLSS for NVIDIA GeForce, turned on to see how much frame rates improve. For the ZenBook Duo, that means the XeSS 2.0 support built into the game with the frame generation toggle active. Unaided performance was just barely playable at 34 frames per second at 1200p and only 15 frames per second at 800p. Those scores don't measure up to the GeForce chips, but note that these tests are running at the highest graphics preset, not normally what you'd even hope to run with integrated graphics, and it hangs pretty close to the RTX 4050 system. Crucially though, you can see the massive increase with XeSS active at both resolutions. With XeSS on, the frame rates leap to 111 FPS at 1200p and 72 FPS at 800p. What that means, you can turn a barely 30 FPS or sub 30 FPS showing into a 60 FPS plus experience with XeSS and frame generation active. We'll talk some more about XeSS in the next section because there's some new nuances around it with Panther Lake, but this should give you an idea of XeSS's potential impact if it's available in the game you want to play. Next up is a quick stop for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. This game is a typical competitive multiplayer title, and we run it at both the low demand minimum visual preset and the maximum extreme preset, both without XeSS or DLSS. We saw some encouraging scores here, hitting 80 FPS on the full HD and low settings run, which is how many competitive players run these types of titles. The rest of the results are decent as well. You'll struggle at 1800p with high settings, but even this integrated graphics solution is not really intended for high resolution gaming. Finally, we come to Cyberpunk 2077, which is our maximum stress test title to push PCs with realistic, cutting-edge graphics. As you'd expect, the Ultra and Ray Tracing overdrive settings were a lot to ask of the Arc B390. Still, a playable 35 FPS on the Ultra settings isn't too shabby for integrated graphics. And so, we went a bit beyond these tests to see what Panther Lake can do. On Cyberpunk's high visual preset at 1200p, which does include XeSS on quality mode and no frame generation, the duo managed a respectable 58 FPS. Look, enthusiasts may not be blown away by these scores, but if you consider this could be someone's everyday non-gaming laptop without, say, having to fork over money for an NVIDIA GPU, it's actually pretty commendable. So I'd be remiss not to talk about Intel's XeSS a little bit more. Intel talked up XeSS in a big way in the run-up to the Core Ultra 3 launch, and for good reason. Even with the leading NVIDIA GPUs out right now, the biggest performance gains have been largely achieved with its technologies like these rather than raw rendered horsepower. That's especially true for Intel's integrated graphics, which will be found on thinner, multi-use systems rather than in thick gaming laptops. While some enthusiasts turn their nose up at upscaling, and particularly the artificial AI-created frames that you get from turning on frame generation, the reality is that this is how high frame rate gaming is being accelerated in 2026. Most people do not own high-end, all-powerful gaming laptops, and even those can employ the help of NVIDIA's DLSS or AMD's FSR equivalent at times. As those with and without XeSS scores demonstrated before, the Asus ZenBook Duo can go from barely playable frame rates up into the range of gaming laptop frame rates with XeSS active. And that wasn't even the best case scenario. Intel enabled an override feature in its built-in graphics software that lets you hook into some games and force the latest version of XeSS 3 with frame generation on. Through the app, you can choose 2x, 3x, or 4x frame generation for increasingly high frame rates. However, right now, we found that engaging the XeSS 3.0 override feature is pretty finicky. It fights against full screen control, and it isn't available in all titles. F1 2024 has a native support for XeSS 2, for example, but that game is listed as unsupported in the override feature. You're stuck with the in-game settings. I did get into the weeds with Cyberpunk 2077, however, and the results are eye-opening. Even just activating XeSS 3.0 and 2x frame generation took the scores from 35 FPS to 96 FPS. Boosting frame generation to its maximum levels can introduce some visual artifacts and ghosting, so you may well prefer to leave it at this level. That said, if you're not bothered by these drawbacks and would rather crank up the frame rate, you can go up to the 3x and 4x levels. Now, this is just the first of many Panther Lake laptops we expect to review this year. But, in short, from what we've seen, the Core Ultra X9 388H flagship chip succeeds in delivering superior integrated graphics performance, with some asterisks. No, the 12-core ARC graphics weren't quite GeForce RTX 4050 in terms of raw horsepower in the 3 games that we ran. With traditional rendering, we saw some playable frame rates in some titles and smooth play in others. The real gains, though, are made with XeSS. Most people won't be up for tinkering around with the XeSS override software, but the existing and older in-game XeSS support should suffice for most folks. At best, we saw this Panther Lake chip leap into the high frame rate gaming territory, and while the usual upscaling and artificial frame rate caveats apply, it's a big win for integrated graphics performance. I should remind you that these tests represent the 388H, the top-end chip in the stack. The other Core Ultra X chips with the ARC B390 will still offer this graphics advantage, but the Core Ultra 3 series chips with the 4-core graphics will not meet this level of graphics performance. We're looking forward to testing the rest of the Panther Lake processors as the year unfolds. Check back with PCMag.com as we get more and more Panther Lake systems into our testing labs.